You are listening to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast, a show by personal trainers for personal trainers. It's time to become a better trainer, get more clients, and change more lives. And now, here's your host, the head coach and founder of Fitness Mentors, Eddie Lester.
Hey guys, welcome to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast, episode number 8. I'm your host, Eddie Lester. And today we're going to be going into how to build a personal training business from the ground up. And I'm actually here with digital marketing expert and 26-year veteran group exercise instructor and personal trainer, Kelly Coulter. So just wanted to welcome you to the podcast.
How are you? Good to see you.
Awesome. Yeah. Nice to see you as well. And I kind of just wanted to give a little background on how I know you, as well as kind of, your experience and that sort of thing. So really, Kelly and I met as I was doing some marketing outreach and kind of looking around for ways to connect our students to better marketing tasks. And actually she runs a Facebook group called, what's the Facebook group called again?
Fit Pros. So it's at Facebook at facebook.com/groups/Fit Pros Ideas.
Fit Pros Ideas. Awesome. And I reached out to her, joined the group, and actually posted a link to this podcast. And she was gracious enough to allow the post, as well as reach out and just kind of talk to me about, how we're helping personal trainers and how we're helping fitness professionals succeed overall. And, we just really connected, and I thought it'd be really great to have her on the podcast, because not only has she been in the industry for 26 years, but she's also runs a digital marketing agency in which she's going to come to us with, a lot of great insight on how to, use digital marketing towards your success, but also kind of, how to build your personal training business from the ground up. And I know a lot of you guys might be training in a gym right now, or you're kind of getting started in the personal training industry. But really, all of these tips are going to be to whether you're in a gym looking to make contacts and build your client list, or maybe, truthfully, this is more for that personal trainer that's kind of thinking about, I'm kind of done in the gym that I'm working at. I want to go private, or I want to take my business online and, help more people in that sense. So, I'm really excited to have you here, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much.
And actually, if you wanted to give a little background on, or a little bit more in-depth background kind of on yourself, I'd love to hear that.
Oh, okay, great. So I think you covered a lot. I am a digital marketing expert. I've got a firm here in Columbia, South Carolina called Coulter Web Pros. And on top of that, I've been a fitness instructor since I was 20 years old. So awesome. 26 years.
Not giving your age or anything. That's funny. I love it.
And I've been doing websites for about the same amount of time since the internet kind of came about. And so I've done a few things. When Facebook first started doing groups, right away I created that group, and it's been growing over the last 12 years.
Awesome.
I've personally vetted every member of that group so that we can be sure they're actual instructors and personal trainers, and not people who want to come in and just kind of lurk around or get fitness tips. Or we get a lot of people applying that want to date a fitness instructor. And so
a dating connection as well. No.
Yeah. And had the marketing agency for the last 5 years. And so today we're going to talk a lot about a blog post that I wrote that comes from my personal experience coming out of corporate and going into creating this marketing agency, and how do you start to bring in clients and pay the bills on day one without any kind of like savings or initial investment.
That's awesome. And a lot of our listeners out there are kind of in that early stages of growing their personal training business, and that's one thing that I get a lot is how do I get started without just breaking the bank? And so many people think that you need so much money to invest to start a personal training business, but you can literally do it for extremely cheap in a way. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Cool. I call it eating what you kill.
Eating what you kill. I love it. Perfect. And that's, it's basically you do the work, and the results will come if you put in that work. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and kind of get started. I know you had about 4 main topics that you kind of wanted to discuss regarding building, your personal training business from the ground up. But I wanted to really quickly, before we do that, I wanted just to give our listeners a little bit more insight into who you are. I wanted to ask you, what is maybe one fun fact about yourself that not too many people know, just to kind of give you a bit of personality as we jump into this.
So I paid my way through college DJing weddings.
I love it, the DJ Kelly C. I already got your name right there.
And I also delivered singing telegrams.
Said yes. Okay, if I ask you to do that later on, you could definitely say no, but I may have to see that. All right, that's awesome. Cool. So that's a fun fact, and now we'll get down to business. But
All right.
I love that. That's good. That didn't even caught me by surprise. That's great. Awesome. So basically, yeah, when we start to think about that sort of initial step to starting a personal training business and really, building the foundation for getting started. Well, first off, we have a whole course, our business and sales course, as well as our online personal trainer course, that goes over the foundation on we'll say a legal level, going through all the steps on how to, create your name, register your business on federal, state, and local levels. But then just beyond that, like when we're starting thinking about, well, how does a personal training business run? Well, you need clients. So what are your thoughts as far as kind of getting started, maybe getting that first initial few clients in a sense?
That's a really good point, because a lot of people do go in it and they look at logistics and they get hung up in creating all the legal points. And then another stumbling block that can happen for a lot of people will be the branding and the naming of the business and all that. And so I like to try to bring people past that and say, hey, start making money and then start worrying about the rest. So
Awesome.
I think there are 4 main assets that everybody has, regardless if they are just graduating from high school or if they have been working. When I started this company, I had been working in marketing for 15 years. And so people, let me go back and say this. So the 4 main assets are your contact list, our free tools on the internet, like social media, like creating a website, like organically search engine optimizing your website. And the third tool would be your mindset, which is a huge tool that can either be leveraged or can be a huge hindrance. And then the fourth would be past investments of time and money.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So the first one, contacts.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, let's get into that first one and kind of talk about, how can you, or how can personal trainers, when they're starting, really leverage their contact list? And it maybe even just define what is their contact list? Where do they get that from?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So your contact list is everybody that knows you and everybody that you've worked with in the past. And that could be on a professional or a personal level. So when I started my company, I literally emailed everybody I had worked with in the past. I made a list. I think it was either a Google sheet or an Excel sheet, or maybe just a list in notes. Name, email address. And I emailed every single person that I had worked with or that I had a personal connection with. And I said, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be consulting. And that was important for 2 reasons. Number one, just to get the word out there. But number 2, I knew that the people I've worked with in the past and the people who have had contact with me know what my strengths are and what they need from me. Mm. And so if I'm able to go to them and say, hey, here's how we've worked together in the past, or here are some of the things that I am thinking I want to do with this company, they can come back to me and say, hey, I really need XYZ.
Awesome. So basically what you're kind of saying is anyone that you've come into contact with, any emails that you have, phone numbers, even from your phone, maybe your emails from, your 12-year-old email all the way through to your professional email now. All the contacts absolutely. There, basically you're saying immediately reach out to them.
Reach out to them, just let them know what you're going to be doing, that you're going to be going out on your own, that you're going to be doing personal training, that, you're thinking that you're going to focus on XYZ. Don't get too far into it. Again, that goes back to that being bogged down in the details. Get out there and start working, and then you can really discover what your brand is going to be, what your specialization is going to be. But the first step is just, if we're talking about eating what you're killing, the first step is eating. Get out there and kill something and eat it.
I love it. I love it.
I know I need to.
I was like, yeah, just okay. We're gonna kill things and eat them. I love it. Yeah, but yeah, I totally get that. I mean, you're gonna basically put yourself out there. What I get from that, and what I feel our students really, or basically our students and our all personal trainers out there is when you put yourself out there saying, I'm committing to whatever objective that you may have. And for this instance, it's going to be to start your own personal training business, whether that be privately or online. It's really about letting everyone know. And in that process, I feel like you're putting yourself out there, and then you're committing as well. I feel like that's huge. So that email that you sent, or those phone calls that you made, or even those text messages that you sent kind of when you started your own business, that's a great thing. So for those of you that are kind of thinking, what do I do if I'm actually at a gym, or don't even have any clients right now? Literally put yourself out there. I mean, that's huge. Just find every contact that you have and just say, hey, maybe it's a little template that you have or something, or a little post, just announce that you're officially making that jump. And to be honest, so much support will come from that, especially from the people that you know and have worked with, like you mentioned, Kelly, in the sense of people that know your strengths, they know who you are. Like, so much support will come from you just saying, hey guys, I'm making the jump. And you'll be so amazed. I feel like that's such a good confidence booster and a great way to start.
So true. So true. Those clients that I got from that process took me through the first few years while I was still building exactly what I was going to be doing.
I love it. And to be honest, like that's a lot of times with personal trainers, we get started by training our family and friends. Mm-hmm. But then once again, once you get in that confidence with those 3 or 4 first clients or your friends or family, then just make sure you guys are putting yourself out there, announce it to the world. And not only will that be great because you can open yourself up to more potential clients, but also internally, and we talk about this a lot in our podcast, but this self-confidence, self-growth, this kind of mindset that you have to go out there and put yourself out there and see the love and respect you get back. I think that's huge. And guys, don't be afraid to do that, because I think, like Kelly said, that's a great first step for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so number 2 is your social network and other free tools on the internet.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, like on top of the maybe emailing and texting or calling some people. Yeah, good. What about social media? I love it.
Well, a lot of times people are scared to go to their social media and to start posting about their new business. And even if you're working for a gym, your personal training book of business is really your own business. So it's important to get out there and talk about it and just mention it every once in a while. It doesn't have to be that your entire personal social feed becomes about personal training. I don't think it should, but I think that you shouldn't be afraid to mention it, and you shouldn't be afraid to do those humble brags. I had a client that lost 15 pounds, is standing up, those kinds of things. So the social network is huge. Just the personal free social network, not even talking about creating a brand or doing any kind of business social network.
Yeah. I mean, as a personal trainer, for the first few years, you don't have a brand. Your brand is 100% yourself. And in our courses, we call it personal branding, and really just having a sense of who you are, what you enjoy, what you do, and then we talked about this in actually podcast number 3, I think. But humanizing and personalizing your social media to really be a direct reflection of who you are in every aspect of your life. And then when you do post those, humble brags or those announcements that you're looking for new clients or things, people look at you and they think, oh, I want to work with that person. I don't need personal training, but I would love to work with that person. Or maybe I do want to get in shape, but who would I do it with is someone that I like. And I really like, how personal and human Eddie is from his posts on social media.
Yeah. And that's really what those first 2 are about. People buy from the people that they know, like, and trust, which is, I'm sure, something that you've covered in the courses.
Absolutely.
And so that's huge.
Awesome. That's great. And then also when you think of maybe some of our students, when this is kind of getting into your digital marketing sort of background, but when we think of maybe a simple amount of, or we'll say types of posts that you see being successful. I know you mentioned like the mini testimonials or the humble brags. Well, what else could new personal trainers kind of be posting consistently to really connect with their potential audience?
That's a great question. So photo content, of course. Well, it goes video is kind of king right now on social media. As much video as you can do, the closer to live that you can get, the better.
Love it. Okay.
I would steer away from kind of like clips of people grunting in the gym and maybe go more toward people having fun, people enjoying themselves. And so this is just kind of a personal preference or observation that I've made in the past, but a lot of instructors and personal trainers will get hung up on the losing weight aspect of what they do. And so they'll post and post and post about losing weight. And that's not always why people are coming into the gym. There are a lot of other reasons. I teach a yoga class for women that I've got anywhere between 40 and 80, maybe even upper 80s in there. And I've got a lady that when she first started with me, she was hunched over and her head faced to the ground, and she now stands up straight. And that's all awesome. My ladies get up and down off the ground. These are benefits of what we do, and we need to keep that in mind and not always just post about a bikini body and a six pack and losing weight.
And I love that, because actually just the last podcast, we really talked about the first step to any marketing process in kind of our opinion. And that's, kind of determining what population and what niche you may want to focus your marketing efforts on. So what are your thoughts around, really choosing a niche, or how would you go help people maybe choose a niche when thinking of because obviously with the posts that you have and the marketing efforts that you put out, targeting a specific population is huge.
Very true.
What are your thoughts on choosing a niche, like right in the beginning of personal training? Because I do hear a lot of people like, oh, I'll train anyone, but why might that not be a good idea?
Well,
as far as your marketing
when you go out there and if your message is, I will train anyone, then that kind of relates to no one. So no one feels like they are anyone when you're speaking to them.
I love that.
You say, I specialize in 80-year-old women and I do yoga with them, or I specialize in people who have been diagnosed with MS. Then all of a sudden that's me, or that's my dad, or and so it's more actionable, and it'll call somebody to action.
Okay, that's really good, and that's something I even missed last podcast, is that when you're specifically talking that you train one person, that actually, once again, that calls that person out. It calls them directly to action. Says or it says, oh, I know someone that needs exactly that. And I even had a call with an online trainer that's in one of our courses yesterday, and she was basically really looking to train 50 to 80-year-old females and really help that population out. And I said, you're not selling personal training. You're not selling health and fitness. You're selling something to that population. And we did an exercise that really helped her come up with something to call herself, even, in the sense of I'm not a personal trainer and health coach. I'm, someone that directly helps this population, and having a direct name for what she called herself, what she came up with was just way more powerful than anything a personal trainer could do. So I love that.
Very true.
Awesome. So next I saw that your blog post kind of talked about mindset. Maybe run through what are your thoughts in that sort of initial phases of starting your own business and mindset?
Yeah. So I think as an entrepreneur, as anybody that's kind of responsible for their own book of business, whether you are in a gym or whether you're working out there on your own in community centers or different places, entrepreneurship can spit you up and eat you out.
Very true. The killing and eating is going all time on this podcast. I love it.
I think I need lunch.
Pretty soon, DJ Kelly C is going to come at us with some beats about eating. I love it.
But I learned quickly as I started working from home on my own, as I was killing what I was eating, that you have to get your mind right every single day. You have to be prepared to be able to withstand the highs and lows and the ups and downs and all of the rejection that you're going to get. I think that a good sales number is 2 out of 10 people that you talk to might buy from you. And so that means that that's 8 rejections. If you talk to 10 people in a day, that's 8 rejections and 2 successes. And you really have to get your mind ready to celebrate your successes, to be calm and patient. And so for me, that means that every morning it's yoga, it's meditation in the middle of the afternoon. And for everybody that's different, but I think that you do want to find what works for you and stick with it.
I love it. So, just kind of thinking about my process for that, just really taking the time to know that the direction you're heading is kind of the goal. And you're entrepreneurship, as you know, and as I know, there's so many bumps in the road, and there's on a daily basis, like you're dealing with failures, kind of constantly. And they might be as big as you make them or as small as you make them. But I'm sure there's a quote out there, and I don't know who said it, but basically the only true failure is when you stop, when you officially quit.
True.
Yeah.
So true.
And with, like you mentioned, with the 2 out of 10 or even sometimes 1 out of 10 rule, if for every 10 people that you reach out to, 5 to 6 won't even respond, won't even acknowledge that you reached out to them. Maybe 2 or 3 will say, okay, but no thanks. And maybe that 1 to 3 might say, okay, let's chat about it. And then 2 out of those 3 that you chatted with, only 1 might actually come on. And this is why it's so important to keep your mindset positive and consistent, consistency in reaching out to your contact list, following up, posting, and constantly engaging with your niche audience. And that's really what digital marketing is about, is that consistency and value that you're building to that specific person that is and fits your niche profile. Yeah. So that's the mindset. That's something that I definitely have had to really work on, as actually kind of on 6 years of fitness mentors, and really about almost 10 to 12 years as just an entrepreneur, from private training, online training, and teaching different things like that. So I love the mindset one. We talk about self-growth and self-confidence a ton on this podcast. And actually maybe a fun little insight. When you think about self-growth, and I know you talked about meditation, what do you feel might be a great way for new trainers to grow in, we'll say, confidence, and kind of grow in self-confidence, grow in self-love, kind of starting out? I know it's a little broad of a question, but what are your thoughts there?
I think do something that scares you every day.
Okay. I love that.
I think really when you were talking about that there are going to be failures and that sort of thing, I kept thinking fail big, fail often, fail upward. And that is huge for me, just knowing that I'm going to take a chance and I'm going to fail and I'm going to look like an idiot and be okay with that.
That's pretty awesome. No, I love that, because and to be honest, when you think about that mindset, and kind of like I mentioned before, a failure when you tried something isn't really a failure, because you absolutely learn something new about that process or about that opportunity or whatever it is. And that right there, if you can look with your mindset around that failure being self-growth, which boom, right there, that answered the question. That's a huge way to be a successful entrepreneur, to be successful. And like we kind of mentioned, almost all personal trainers are entrepreneurs, because you're most often getting your own clients. So I love that. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Cool. So then, one of the tips that you also mentioned, talk to me about what you referred to in your blog by talking about sort of past investment.
Absolutely. So, when we're talking about this, we're talking about kind of 4 things that everybody has. And so whether you're coming out of high school, whether you just graduated from college, whether you have been in a career for 20 years, there's something that you have invested time, money, emotion into at some point. And you want to take a look at those things and see if there is any opportunity to create a small revenue stream, maybe a recurring revenue stream, something like that. And so in the blog post, I'll just briefly mention it here. In the blog post, I went into how to tell if you are joining an MLM, and that is not what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
And so I just think that is an important point, because an MLM is not a recurring passive revenue stream. You do have to put in the work to make money in those.
Yeah, and oftentimes trainers do encounter MLM opportunities, which is multi-level marketing, which basically gives, or if you want to explain to MLM maybe a little bit more, so that our students understand what they might be looking for as far as what to avoid as far as a new revenue stream. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not saying that nobody ever makes money with MLMs, because I actually just listened to the podcast, The Dream, and about 10% of people that do join those do make money, but the rest tend to kind of fall off to the wayside. And so an MLM is when somebody comes to you and says, hey, do you want to be a coach? Do you want to be a, what are some of the other terms that they might use? But they're talking about selling something and being part of an upline.
Yeah.
And so your boss is making money off of what you sell, and then you're supposed to recruit people so that you make money off of what they sell.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem for me with MLMs, with new business owners, including new personal trainers, is that it is a distraction a lot of times. Now, there are people in the Fit Pros Facebook group that are making money and killing it with MLMs. So I'm not necessarily saying don't join one.
Yeah.
I'm just saying don't come to it with the mindset that this is your that this is you cashing in on that past investment that I'm talking about. The MLM should be kind of considered a separate vertical, a separate revenue stream for you. And it should be given the amount of time and effort that it needs.
And actually just touching on that, when we think about entrepreneurship, so many properties of being successful in an MLM are the exact same thing as you being successful on your own, building your own type of revenue streams. So, all in all, yes, you can be very successful with multi-level marketing. I know a lot of trainers that do nutrition-based MLMs just to add an extra small bit of revenue by selling some supplements, things like that. And as a small sort of side thing, that can be definitely successful. The full-time MLM, that takes a ton of work, just like any other type of entrepreneurship. And being successful on a high level with that, we're talking anywhere from 5 to 10 years. We'll say 2 to 10 years, whatever it is, in the amount of effort that you put in. But just know that with any business, regardless of what it looks like, the work has to be there, the ethic has to be there, the self-confidence has to be there. And then just make sure whatever it is, and this is something that we talk about a ton on our podcast, is make sure that it aligns with your core values. That's something huge.
Very true.
Like we our first podcast that we ever did was on, who are you? What do you believe in? And what would you take to the death just to keep on the kill and eat it sort of thing. But like your core values are guiding you. And if any MLM feels slightly awkward or slightly against who you are as far as your core values, that's something that I do not recommend getting into, because there will be a point, even if you are successful, that there's some sort of disconnect between you yourself and the brand that you're actually in the MLM with. So that's just a great tip for fitness professionals looking at that. You have to 100% be on board with every aspect of that company's core values for it to be something for you.
That's a great point.
So, that's just a small touch on MLMs that I haven't brought that up much, but I do see a ton of trainers probably even in your group, and groups, or our groups, like the Fitness Mentors VIP group, and really ask, oh, well, hey, anybody in here do Beachbody? Anybody in here do, supplement based MLMs? And there's tens out there. And so many trainers do that. Just once again, make sure if you go that route as even a side business, anything, make sure it's 100% exactly what you believe in. And if it's a health supplement, make sure it's exactly what you would recommend anyways. Not that it's against, your sort of thing. And to be honest, I tried an MLM for a year and a half. And to be honest, from the get-go, I wasn't on board with their products, but I was like, oh, this is going to be a quick way for me to make extra money selling supplements to my clients. Cause I already had a good amount of clients. And I just, every time I was like, God, should I recommend this supplement? Cause it was like, for my clients, exactly what they wanted to achieve. Yes, the products could help, but I was looking at the ingredients. I was looking at the way that they recommended using it, and it wasn't on board. And I overdid it, and I left just with a bad feeling. And I invested into the MLM to try the supplements. I didn't like any of them, but I was just like, oh, this is easy, and I could sell them to my clients. And so once again, guys, just really think about where your core values are and how they relate to any business, but especially MLMs for sure.
Okay, so here's a big question, and you can cut this out if you want. So you were in it for a year and a half. Did you ever make money?
I was always around the even-ish, which never hurt me really, never helped me. But I mean, if I was really pushing it like they suggested, like, the plans in that sense of when they should be having it, I could have made money. But once again, I was hesitant because it wasn't me in that sense. And it's when I think about health and fitness, one of my first core values is truly helping people grow in confidence with themselves through health and fitness, and then in self-love, just because they love themselves more because of the confidence that they're gaining, the way that they feel, the way that they look, things like that. And the way that I did that wasn't ever congruent with supplements. And to be honest, like even nowadays, I'm like, hey, eat whole foods. I don't even recommend protein shakes to my clients. Just say, hey, here's everything that you need to be successful is always through whole natural foods. And you can connect that to, or with any client, and just guaranteed success if you're eating whole foods that are healthy and natural. So that was kind of where I parted with really the supplement industry kind of in general, is I realized I didn't take any supplements, and I was achieving all the goals that I wanted to. How was I doing that? And that's kind of what I've been recommending to my clients.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
So we were talking about, so in the blog post, I talked a little bit about MLMs because you do get approached. The bigger your following gets, the more you're going to get approached, because there's a coach out there that wants the benefit of your following. So there's that. But so when I talk about leveraging past investments, I'm really talking about things like, do you have a large following of, a certain type of fitness enthusiast, or people who love the bathing suits that you wear?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
For me, that was, I've got this Facebook group that I have been nurturing and putting my time and emotion and energy into for 10 years. And recently, and I should have done this a long time ago, decided to make a website that'll be a companion and will be an industry tool. And so I created Fit Pros Connect, which is a free directory where instructors and trainers come in and they put their information in there. They're able to have a profile page. So if you don't have a website, you're able to have a profile, at least at Fit Pros Connect. They can connect with other people in their area based on geography or based on specific certifications or formats. And then gyms can come in, they can see everybody that's in their area, they can find people to work for them. And events and conferences can come in and advertise to just the people in their area. So it was finally a way for me to take that past investment of all the time and love and emotion I put into the group and make a website that at some point in the future may make some advertising dollars.
Yeah. Awesome. And to be honest, you're when you think about that sort of group, you're helping people connect that are all interested in one idea. And one we'll say one sort of or topic or one sort of a career path in that sense, and getting people together. That's actually one of our core values is really community. It's connecting anyone that can learn from anyone, and really bringing them together and guiding them, and then having great chats and we'll say good conversations within these groups that are helping other people grow, and people are providing tips that of what they've gone through and relating to the newer trainers. The newer trainers are asking questions, and that community element, which you brought up with your Facebook group, that's huge as far as something that you've helped people grow from that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we're also regarding kind of the past investment. When I think of our trainers out there that are listening, what are you doing right now that you can connect with more people? And, because I like what you said there about your past investment being that you just started to get people together in a Facebook group, and over 10 years, you've been able to grow and vet, a ton of trainers.
7,500.
Yes, 7,500 vetted group exercise instructors and trainers that have, you've been able to bring them together in that sense. But what can you do, the listener right now, what can you do that might set yourself up for success in the future? And if you have a long-term goal, and I love getting into this with trainers, because all of our trainers are really, they have, I want to open up my own gym, or I want to run a completely online personal training business. Think 5 years into the future right now. What can you do now that might set you up for success in that respect, in your long-term goal? And we have a whole blog on how to start your own gym and how to know when you're ready to open your own gym. And we recommend about a 5-year plan from the time that you go private as a personal trainer, because you understand all the entrepreneur skills and things like that. But what is your goal in 5 years? What is your goal in 10 years? What can you do on a small daily basis or small amount of time each day that would allow you to be successful further down the road? So that the past investment idea there, I really, really like that. That's awesome.
Well, thanks.
So I guess kind of wrapping things up around marketing, around, we kind of talked about niche marketing and starting your own sort of business from the ground up. What's maybe something that actually, one last thing I guess that I forgot to mention right there was we actually also have a personal training marketing blog that has about 19 tips on how to kind of get clients, more or less, and build your marketing pathways. And one of them is to join personal training directories. So your Fit Pros Connect, that's a directory that personal trainers can join, and I'll actually throw a link in the show notes. But what that does is it really allows businesses and with other directories, sometimes clients to be able to search you, and you come up more often, or people are looking at that website, or different things like that. Putting yourself out there through niche directories is a great idea. So I highly recommend that you do join a Fit Pros Connect, and I'll once again throw that link
Thanks.
in there. But yeah, kind of any last sort of thoughts around your expertise, how your 26 years as a fitness industry professional has kind of culminated, and what are your thoughts on that?
Oh gosh, and how my 26 years has culminated into, well, I have a ton of contacts that I'm reaching out to and talking to about Fit Pros Connect.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been so much fun, just
Awesome.
really kind of re-engaging, because for the first 5 years of my business, I kept fitness instructing on the lowest level that I could keep it. I knew that for my own mental health, I need to do it, because I had quit for 5 years, and I knew that wasn't me. I need to be out there teaching.
Yeah.
So, I think that's really important, thinking about, how much working out and personal training can you give to other people before you need to come back and give to yourself.
I love it. Yeah.
So So yeah, the 26 years has culminated in me coming back to teaching more and back to focusing on the community. And that's my goal this year, is really around building community and groups. And I'm having so much fun doing it.
That's awesome. And that's such a good guiding pathway is truly enjoying, what you're doing. And for me, it's teaching, it's connecting with people like yourself and our students to really, talk to them, what is the next step in your careers? What is the next step in your self-development, your self-growth, and really just connecting with who you are and living to a point of your truth and your purpose is what we like to talk about and call it here. But because that's when we think about just life in general. If you're constantly unhappy because of your situation, there's something that needs to change. And one of the first steps that I always say is reflecting on yourself. And that's why we did our core values from podcast number 1. And that direction will guide you. And immediately based on your emotions and based on your happiness, if you're following your purpose and your core values.
So true.
And I love to kind of wrap and involve that sort of element into this, because a lot of times we disconnect from ourselves to think, oh, we're personal trainers and we're group fitness instructors, or we're starting a career and that sort of stuff. But really, you are a human. We all share this common bond of going through life together. And in my opinion, that number one thing is self-love, self-happiness, and sharing that with the world and whoever you come into contact with. So wrapping it up on a positive moment there. We might have to eat and kill some more things after this podcast.
We got eat and kill, and then we got touchy feely.
And then maybe we'll have DJ Kelly sing to us next time.
I'd love to be back.
Yes. Awesome. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. I'll throw all the links from today's show into the show notes. So definitely check those out. If you're watching on YouTube, definitely throw a hi and comment on anything that you liked and want to discuss more. And we'll see you back next week for podcast number 9. All right, guys. Thanks so much, Kelly. And to all of you out there, have a great day. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
As always, thanks for listening to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast. You can learn more about fitness mentors at fitnessmentors.com. Be sure to share this podcast on social media. And remember, we are here to help you succeed.